Welcome to the Strange North channel. Okay, in this video, I'm gonna give you my top 5 neighborhoods in Edmonton list. And I will admit, I'm very biased to the central core of Edmonton. I just think that in Edmonton, this is the most beautiful area to live. I'm talking about the area that's in a close vicinity to downtown, Whyte Ave, the university, and just that central River Valley area. And this list is in no particular order. I don't really have a number 1 favorite neighborhood in the city. This is just my personal list of the top 5 neighborhoods to live in Edmonton, Alberta. Okay, so at number 1 is the neighborhood of Glenora. This is the one neighborhood on my list that I have not lived in, but I've always traditionally thought of this place as sort of the nicest neighborhood in Edmonton. And the reason for that is that it's very centrally located with close access to downtown and the River Valley, but it's a relatively quiet area as well, and so it sort of gives you that central location as well as having a bit of a suburban, peaceful feel to it. Glenora is conveniently located just to the west of the downtown area, and the southern portion of the neighborhood borders the River Valley. And this area offers some excellent views of the River Valley in different areas of Edmonton, as well as giving you really good access to the trail system. And this is one of Edmonton's oldest neighborhoods, and so you're going to find a lot of newer construction in this area, but also a ton of older historic homes as well, including a couple that have been preserved as municipal historic sites. Other than the western portion of this neighborhood, it's generally smaller buildings, single-family homes, and the lot sizes vary quite a bit. And like I said, this area almost has a bit of a suburban feel to it. And I really love the old character homes and large trees in this area. It's an old neighborhood and it has a ton of charm to it. Glenora is mostly a residential area. It's very close to downtown, but it also has a couple small areas with popular businesses within the neighborhood as well. Along Stony Plain Road is the popular Colombian coffee shop and the legendary Vi's for Pies. And these are great local options to walk to if you live in this neighborhood. And then on the western edge of Glenora, on the corner of Stony Plain Road and 142nd Street, this is where you can find some condo and apartment high-rise options if you're wanting to live in this area. And there's been a lot of recent new development around here, and this area also has some very popular new businesses. And in the southeast portion of this neighborhood is the old museum grounds and park. I really love this area. The Royal Alberta Museum was in this building for many years until it moved downtown to a new location. But this area also has the beautiful Government House, which for many years in the past was the home of the Lieutenant Governor of Alberta, as well as some beautiful park space and River Valley access. And it's definitely more expensive in this neighborhood compared to some other areas of the city. But traditionally, I've just thought of Glenora as the nicest neighborhood in the city with its central location, large, nice houses, and proximity to the River Valley, as well as a ton of historic charm. And so overall, Glenora definitely deserves a mention on the best neighborhoods in Edmonton. Okay, at number 2 is the neighborhood of Oliver. This is just east of Glenora, and Oliver sits right beside the downtown core, just to the west of it. This is a neighborhood that I have lived in, and I absolutely loved living here. I honestly don't think there's a more dynamic neighborhood in the entire city. The buildings range from old historic sites to very new and modern construction, and the structures range from being very short to very tall. This neighborhood has the highest population of any of the neighborhoods in Edmonton by quite a large margin. And the western portion of the neighborhood in particular is the densest area in Alberta. The neighborhood was named after Frank Oliver, who was a prominent businessman and politician in the city. But he had a bit of a shady past, and in recent years there has been a push to rename the neighborhood. The old area of Oliver Square on the northern edge of the neighborhood was recently renamed Unity Square. This whole area in the north of the neighborhood used to be a CNR rail yard and right-of-way, and this area used to be dominated by trains and tracks in the past. This whole area was later converted to commercial stores and a bit of residential condos, and there's a really great variety of businesses in this area to service the neighborhood of Oliver. The location of Oliver is fantastic. It's right next to downtown. It's very close to the high-level bridge connecting you with the south side of Edmonton. The southern portion of Oliver is right up against the River Valley, and so the area has really great river access. And in addition to the River Valley, it also has some beautiful parks and green spaces within the neighborhood itself. Within walking distance, you have downtown and the Rogers Arena, the Alberta Legislative Building, the River Valley, and 124th Street to the west, which is quickly becoming one of the most popular streets in the entire city. And this area just has a ton of living options. You can live in a bungalow, a row house with a ton of character, maybe a small walk-up apartment, or even a high-rise condo building. This area just has a ton of options, and this is a really popular area for people that are new to the city. Jasper Avenue, which is downtown Edmonton's main street, runs right through the middle of the neighborhood. One of the things that I love about Oliver is the collection of prominent churches. St. Joseph's Basilica is one of the most prominent Catholic churches in the province, and the Beth Shalom Synagogue is the largest of its kind in the city. The neighborhood also has a variety of other smaller churches, and I feel these places really add to the overall beauty of the neighborhood. And so just given the convenient location of Oliver and all of the options available to rent or buy, as well as the old historic charm and access to the River Valley and a ton of businesses and services, I just think this neighborhood is definitely one of the top neighborhoods in Edmonton, and there's such a variety of places to live here that I definitely recommend checking it out if you're new to the city. At number 3 is Riverdale. Now, this is one of the 3 dales in Edmonton. These are 3 neighborhoods right down by the river. You have Cloverdale, Rossdale, and Riverdale. All 3 of these are beautiful neighborhoods right down in the River Valley, and I want to talk about those other neighborhoods in another video. But my personal favorite of the 3 is Riverdale. I lived here for many years, and this neighborhood is basically a small town within the city. As you can see, it's very centrally located. It's just east of the downtown core, and it's in this little corner of the River Valley, almost completely surrounded by green space. This neighborhood is known for its strong community league and local events, and for many years the neighborhood produced the Riverdalian, which was a local neighborhood newspaper, and I love that this neighborhood did something like that. Riverdale is also a very dynamic neighborhood. It has a real variety of property prices and income levels and lifestyles. It's quite an eclectic mix down there. It definitely gets a bit more posh as you move to the southern and eastern edges of the neighborhood, particularly along the river. And this neighborhood in particular has really fantastic River Valley access. Within a couple minutes of walking from most places of this neighborhood, you can be right at the river. And the neighborhood is right up against Dawson Park, as well as Louise McKinney Park and the new pedestrian bridge that links the neighborhood with the south side of Edmonton. Years ago, when I was living in Riverdale, this neighborhood did not have any restaurants or cafes or stores or anything like that. But shortly after I left, a business called Little Brick opened, and it's a wonderful cafe and general store located in an old historic brick house. The neighborhood of Riverdale is one of the oldest neighborhoods in the city, and for many years it had a very productive lumber mill and brickyard in this area. And so Little Brick pays homage to the prominent brickyard that is part of Riverdale's history. Another fairly recent commercial development houses the very popular Dog Patch restaurant and bread and butter bakery. I really like that these stores are popping up in Riverdale. Of course, it makes the area busier, but this would be a wonderful thing to have if you lived in the neighborhood. And this is one of the best neighborhoods for experiencing Edmonton's lush River Valley. And Riverdale definitely deserves a mention on my personal list of the best neighborhoods in the city. Okay, at number 4 is Strathcona. This is the area around the popular portion of Whyte Avenue or 82nd Avenue. This is really Edmonton's most popular nightlife, restaurant and cafe and eclectic shopping district. Strathcona used to be a separate city from the city of Edmonton until 1912, when the two cities joined together. And of course, this is one of the oldest areas of the city, and it has a ton of old historic buildings. There's a portion of the neighborhood called Old Strathcona, which also extends into some other neighborhoods, and this is the original location of the old city of Strathcona. And like I said, this is just one of the oldest areas of the city. For example, the Strathcona Hotel is the oldest wood frame commercial structure in the whole Edmonton region. The proximity to Whyte Ave alone makes this a fantastic neighborhood to live, and it's just centrally located in general. I mean, you have very quick access to not only Whyte Ave, but the Mill Creek area, Garneau, and the university, and you're a bridge away from downtown, Oliver, and the legislative area. And the northern portion of Strathcona along Saskatchewan Drive borders the River Valley, and this area provides some of the best views of downtown Edmonton in the entire city. And I just love this row of high-rise condos along Saskatchewan Drive. I always imagine this could be one of the best places in Edmonton to live because you're right beside the popular collection of businesses and services around Whyte Ave, but you're also very close to a lot of other things in the central core, and you might have one of the best views of downtown in the city. Other than the high-rise condos along Saskatchewan Drive, the rest of the neighborhood is mainly smaller buildings, so not as many high-rise options as a neighborhood like Oliver, but Strathcona is a fairly large neighborhood and there's a ton of options in terms of places to live in this area. Strathcona varies quite a bit as well. You have really busy areas around Whyte Avenue, and then some areas of the neighborhood are very serene and quiet, particularly in the eastern portion close to the Mill Creek Ravine. You've got one of the top theater scenes in Western Canada with the Varscona Theatre and the Walterdale Playhouse. The very popular year-round Old Strathcona Farmers Market gives you a wonderful variety of fresh, local, and Western Canadian food. And if you've spent any amount of time in Edmonton, you're definitely familiar with Strathcona a little bit. And this is just one of the most dynamic, interesting, and historic areas of the city, and it's definitely one of my picks for the top neighborhoods in the city. And if you're new to Edmonton and you're looking for places that you might want to live and explore, then I definitely recommend checking out Strathcona. And at number 5 is the neighborhood of Bonnie Doon. This is located a little bit to the east of Strathcona, and this is also a very centrally located neighborhood. And the western portion of Bonnie Doon borders the Mill Creek Ravine. Again, kind of like Glenora and Riverdale, it's very central and close to downtown, but it feels a lot quieter than Strathcona and Oliver, for example, and a lot of it has kind of a suburban feel. So it can be great if you're looking for something quiet, but you also want to be close to downtown and Whyte Ave. I lived in this neighborhood for many years when I was a kid, and I still love it to this day. Bonnie Doon is a phrase in a Robbie Burns poem referring to the River Dune in Scotland. And in 1910, a man named Alexander Rutherford owned a bunch of land east of Mill Creek, and he named it Bonnie Doon, and that name has stuck to this day. A portion of Bonnie Doon, especially along Rue Marie-Anne Gabory or 91st Street, is the heart of Edmonton's French community. And this area contains the only Francophone university west of Manitoba and the only Francophone high school west of Winnipeg. The La Cité Francophone building is the heart of Francophone culture in Edmonton and also contains the wonderful Café Bicyclette, and in particular their chocolate croissants are wonderful. At least they were when I was here years ago. And then just up the road from the French district is this really great collection of other businesses. Duggan's Boundary Irish Pub is honestly the best pub in Edmonton. It's off the beaten path, and this is a place that only locals really know about. The vibes are very easygoing and friendly. There's live music and dark wooden booths if you just wanted to grab a quiet drink, but I think this is overall the best pub in the city. Just down the road from that is Bulgogi House. They serve casual Korean food. This is one of my personal favorite restaurants in the city. I always get the beef bulgogi and the mandu dumplings, and this place has now been around for 50 years, so they must be doing something right, and I absolutely love Bulgogi House. And then you also have a collection of other newer businesses in this area, including the very popular Colombian Coffee. This is turning into a very popular local coffee chain, and this location in Bonnie Doon has become very popular. And so Bonnie Doon is very close to popular areas like Whyte Ave and downtown, but just within the neighborhood it has a really cool collection of small businesses to check out as well. Like I said, the western portion of Bonnie Doon borders the Mill Creek Ravine. This is a ravine system with a creek that feeds into the main North Saskatchewan River, and there are a few neighborhoods in the city that are bordering the Mill Creek, and I love all of them. And in my opinion, the northern edge of Bonnie Doon, right at the top of Connors Road, although you might consider that area to be Strathern as well, but this area to me has one of the best views of the downtown Edmonton skyline. You sort of hit it from an angle compared to seeing it from Saskatchewan Drive, but I just think that downtown looks really cool from this particular spot. And yes, I do have a sentimental soft spot for this neighborhood because I grew up here, but Bonnie Doon is sort of the best of both worlds. It's very centrally located, close to Whyte Ave and downtown, but there's a ton of green space, and it's a little bit quieter compared to some of the other central neighborhoods in Edmonton. And so the neighborhood of Bonnie Doon closes out this list. And so those were my top 5 neighborhoods in the city of Edmonton. And it was hard to pick. I just sat down and I asked myself, what do I think are the best neighborhoods in Edmonton? And I just think that these neighborhoods provide quick access to some of the most interesting things in the city. I'm definitely going to cover more neighborhoods in further videos down the road, including some more that are very centrally located and also some neighborhoods that are further out into the city as well. I hope you found that interesting and informative, and I hope it gave you some ideas if you're new to Edmonton or if you plan on visiting at some point in the future. And there have been many other people that have done similar videos on this topic. I just wanted to add my 2 cents. If you're interested in watching more of my content in general, please subscribe to my channel. I upload at least 1 new video per week. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Strange North channel.